America's getting scary, isn't it? Like, properly scary. Donald Trump, to me, looks like someone playing a president in a porno. Would you bother with the hair if you looked like him? If you had a face like a novelty jug that was made in a secure unit pottery class, surely the hair is like putting 26-inch rims on a fucking wheelie bin. Do you remember when you thought that George Bush was the bottom? Remember that? You thought, that's the bottom. A guy who's so stupid he can't really fucking speak. Turns out there's a whole thing underneath that. Goes all the way down to a guy who looks like a melted action figure of He-Man. Doesn't really have policies. They're more the sort of things a drunk would shout on a bus when he gets shaken awake by a pothole. Oh, build a wall! I got my next door neighbour to build a wall and pay for it, and all it cost me was the price of a thong to sunbathe in. That American election, that might turn out to be the biggest decision since the Second World War. I don't know about you. Anytime I hear that there's a big decision to be taken, I often think to myself, oh, I hope no Americans are involved in taking that decision. I hope no one from a country that made 8 Fast and the Furious movies gets any say in this. I hope nobody who finds James Corden funny. I have nothing against James Corden. I just think he needs to start playing some smaller venues, because I'm struggling to find a crossbow that doesn't have a fairly short range. The Americans were fucked, whoever they voted for, weren't they? Hillary Clinton was a murderous psychopath. The whole election was a bit like watching the Elephant Man try to decide which side to part his hair. Hillary Clinton is the only living woman that necrophiles can masturbate to. Did that on Radio 4 and they fucking cut it out. Can you believe it? It's now my life's mission to try and get the phrase masturbating necrophile onto Radio 4. Even if it has to be the shipping forecast. Hebridean blight, northeasterly. Masturbating necrophile, southwesterly. Hillary Clinton, they said, didn't they? They said she's the most qualified candidate ever. She was an attorney, and she was First Lady, she was Secretary of State. That's not the point. Peter Sutcliffe was an excellent truck driver. It's the attitude that's the problem. I had 2 problems with Clinton's attitude, right? The first one was her brand of feminism. She didn't agree with female genital mutilation unless it had been performed by an American drone. No point oohing, motherfuckers. That was literally her position. Right? And I can't get behind that, because I struggle to find the clitoris at the best of times without having to paw through the rubble of Kandahar. My other problem with Clinton was she couldn't pretend to be human just for long enough to get elected. Who can't pretend to be human? That's how relationships get started. You pretend to be human, you hold your farts in for a couple of years until you can trap the other person with some kind of property purchase. Sign here and here, oh thank God. That's relationships, isn't it? Oh, you seem nice. Yeah, that's because I'm trying to seem nice. Wait till you move in and find out I've got the mood swings of a fucking Vietnam vet. I think we're in relationships because we don't want to die alone, which is why I've always planned on taking quite a few people with me. I get a bit of hassle online from Trump fans. You know, what are they called? The alt-right, the fascist cunts. They're not great debaters, are they? One of their arguments says, get this, Adolf Hitler wasn't a fascist. Hitler was a socialist, because the Nazis were called the National Socialist Party. What they're doing there is they're putting an awful lot of faith in the words of Hitler. Never trust Hitler. That's a good rule of thumb. Just because he said he was a socialist doesn't mean that he was a socialist. The Undertaker wasn't a real undertaking. Good news, everybody. I've just had the all clear on my cancer from Dr. Dre. Let's celebrate. People are always putting up a brave fight against cancer, aren't they? What a brave struggle he put up against cancer. Not me. I'm going to lie down and die like a fucking dog. I'm going to slide off my chair mid-diagnosis. The last words I ever hear as my face hits the carpet will be easily treatable. I honestly think Trump's so stupid, he'll change what the word presidential means. I think in a couple of years' time, people will be going, oh, my uncle fell over and banged his head on a curb. He's been rendered completely presidential. Do you know what he said? He genuinely said this. The first day of the FBI investigation, he said, every time I pick up a phone, I feel like someone's listening. He went to Saudi Arabia, his first foreign trip. Melania saw how women were being treated in Saudi Arabia and tried to claim asylum. Poor Melania. I've got a fantasy about Melania, but it's not a sexist thing. It's a fantasy for Melania. Right? I like to think that she's happy. I like to think that when she goes to the White House, she goes to a totally different bit. She never has to see Trump. And she gets double-teamed by her yoga instructors, while her bodyguard stands in a corner waiting to be tagged in like a wrestler. And very occasionally, right, she'll stand up and go, come at me, Agent 37. Right, you know, like a martial arts instructor. Come at me. And he'll just move his weight forward very slightly. There'll be a blur of limbs and her pussy will be clamped over his face like Alien. Before he can crack the cyanide capsule in his tooth. You die on my terms, Agent 37! On my terms! I don't know if that bit's staying in the show. I just really enjoy doing it. I can't really think of anything to do with Agent 37's head when I've gotten it. I've thought of spitting into his mouth. But I don't want to ruin this fucking lovely carpet on this stage. Anyway, there you go. Wee bit of a peek into the dream factory for you there. What was I talking about there? Fuck knows. What else has been happening? Brexit. People are saying after Brexit, British people don't trust experts anymore. Experts aren't always right. My therapist said I wouldn't rape again. The last mistake that he ever made! See, I feel I've softened that rape joke by making it a male-on-male rape against an authority figure. In a way, I feel I'm raping up. Because there's a controversy, isn't there? People think if you do a joke about rape, you must be advocating rape. Nothing could be further from the truth. I'm completely neutral. I do think we live in a rape culture. I know people try to deny that, but we do. We live in a deeply sexist society. And if you grow up in a sexist society, you become part of it. I grew up in it. I became part of it. I went out with women who were on the pill without knowing what the pill did. I thought weight gain and depression were side effects of going out with me. Women are oppressed, right? Women are so oppressed, you can't even have a female remake of Ghostbusters without people getting annoyed. Women are so oppressed, you can't do every movie as a female remake. If you did an all-female remake of The Hangover, 3 women waking up not knowing what had happened and seeing Mike Tyson would just be fucking sinister. I do think we need to think about the language around rape as well, you know. Rapists get called predators. I think they probably like that. You're not a predator, mate. You're a fucking scavenger. The majestic lion of the Serengeti doesn't have to drug the watering hole and pretend to be a fucking minicab driver. What was I talking about before I started rambling about rape? Brexit, yes. Enjoyed voting in Brexit. Not for the sake of democracy. It's just rare for me to be allowed into a scout hall unchallenged. I like Europe, you know, I like the French. I like the fact that early on in French history, 2 French people sat down and decided whether nouns were men or women. Literally the most pointless thing that anyone's ever fucking done. What would you say a scone is? Is it a man? Yes, of course it is a man, you fool! Why do you even have to ask? And what about lemons? Are they also men? Yes, they're little tiny yellow men! You're going to keep doing this for much longer because you can sense that the audience aren't really into it, aren't you? Oh yes, I might do the rest of the show in this stupid fucking voice. You haven't really written an ending for this bit, have you? This is going to be like that thing with Melania from earlier on. I haven't bothered to get the accent right. Why would I have written an ending? I do not care about endings. I only care about whether the concept of endings is itself male or female. Eddie Izzard is better at this kind of thing than you. I prefer it when Eddie Izzard does these jokes about the French language. That is because he is both a man and a woman! God, I love the French, man. Even in Beauty and the Beast is grumpy for a whole movie because he's got a hairy face. The French guy has been turned into a candlestick and does not give one fuck. Yeah, I'm a candlestick, what of it? I've set fire to my own head and face. I didn't need to do that. I'm self-harming and possibly committing suicide in the middle of a Disney movie because fuck everybody. I don't trust our Brexit negotiating team, by the way. I think our Brexit negotiating team would end up paying full price on a DFS sofa. I certainly hope it isn't a hard Brexit anyway. If it's a hard Brexit, that means I've got about 2 years left to persuade a Lithuanian care worker to take my mum with her. That is not true. She's dead. She's not. She's dead to me. Fucking dead to me, the cow. She's not. Most of this is jokes. Okay. I think the funniest thing about Brexit is that UKIP have had to reposition themselves because they got what they wanted. They got out of the EU. Nobody gives a fuck about their other positions. It's like hearing ISIS's position on wheelie bins or something, right? So they've had to reinvent themselves as the party of Islamophobia. And they're doing that by expressing solidarity for groups that they think Islam discriminates against. So now they talk about women's rights and gay rights and all this kind of stuff. Imagine that. Imagine you're in UKIP. You're basically a BNP member who can afford van insurance. And you've suddenly got to pretend that you care about gay rights. You know what the problem is in Britain, Steve? It's that I can't suck your cock because of Sharia law. I'm going to suck it, mate. It's not a gay thing. It's purely an act of political protest. Do you know what UKIP are saying is their reason they want to ban the burqa now? They're saying they're worried those women aren't getting enough vitamin D. Yeah, because you need really strong bones for fucking off back where you came from.